guts of 700 years ago, and I'm bringing you up here to our main street, High Street. And in that year, 1324, a young girl who worked here in the inn, she was about 22 or 3, she was flogged. And when they tired flogging her, they dragged her down the street. When they tired dragging her, they flogged her some more. And this went on until they got her to the end of the street, that expanse that we call the parade, where you're looking up at the castle. And there, ladies and gentlemen, they tied her to a stake and burned her to death. And that was the year 1324, and that was the first ever burning of a witch in Ireland. And that lady's name was Petronella. But that's not who they wanted to burn at the stake. Who they wanted to burn at the stake was the owner, landlady of this inn, Dame Alice Kytler. But Dame Alice Kytler, as she had always been, was one step ahead of the posse. Dame Alice was a very good-looking, intelligent, clever lady. And it's a wonderful, wonderful story. We think her story is as good as any modern movie. And in fact, we think it would make an Oscar-winning movie if we could get Meryl Streep to play the part, you know. And she might, you know, but kind of Meryl's getting on and the parts are running out. But anyway, Dame Alice, she had 4 husbands, as some of you may know, 3 of whom died in suspicious circumstances. So and the husbands, she had a good habit of marrying elderly and very wealthy husbands. That's a good ploy for any woman, I guess. And these gentlemen had been married before and had children. But when they died, I'm afraid Alice inherited all the wealth and left the children penniless, which didn't go down too well with them. But in the year 1324, she was on husband number 4, a man called John Le Puer, and that would become John Power now in Irish, going from the French to the Irish. But John Power's children came up to visit him one day, took one look at him and nearly died because the man was looking like a skeleton. And they say that he was so emaciated from powders, pills and potions that his nails were falling out and his hair was falling out. And we now know that these are the classic symptoms of arsenic poisoning. So we reckon, well, we can't be sure that this is how Alice got rid of the other 3 gentlemen and became an extremely wealthy and powerful and influential figure here in Killkenny. To such an extent that she practically became a banker or a usurer, a money lender. And that did not really appeal to the church. But anyway, when Alice's kids came in and had a look at their father, not Alice's kids, but John Power's kids, they went flying down here to St. Canice's Cathedral to the bishop. And the bishop, and I'm not making this up, has the wonderful name called Bishop Richard de la Dread. And they said, Bishop, you got to go up there to Kytelers Hall, as it was known then, because there is something fishy going on. And this bishop, as it happens, he was a Franciscan from London, and he had trained on the continent in the whole business of sorcery. So if you like, this was a bishop itching for a witch. He had found her. But before he could even get things in action, Alice, who, as I said, was extremely powerful, turned the tables on the bishop and had him imprisoned up here in Killkenny Castle for 17 nights in a row. Now folks, you do not do that to a bishop, certainly not in Ireland. But Alice did, and as we shall soon see, got away with it. But anyway, the bishop, when he came out, and this is why it was discussed at length in the Vatican, the Pope was saying, hey, what the hell is going on over there in Ireland that they're imprisoning my bishop? But when he got out, Bishop Richard de la Dread, he paraded down the town here in all his splendour and glory and started the trial. And found Alice Kytler guilty. But the night before they were to burn her at the stake, Alice slipped quietly away, thanks to her friends in high places. We believe, but we're not sure, that she went to London, but she was never heard of again. And then, of course, the authorities, needing a scapegoat, picked on Petronella, was the lady's name, and she was Alice's maid. And they burned her at the stake because the flogging, they were, if you like, getting a confession from her. And God love her, she was only a young girl. And if you flog anybody long enough, they'll confess to almost anything. So that's the story of Alice Kytler. And if you